Carita Parks with Bowie TV. We are at the Under Armour Performance Center for the Baltimore Ravens. They had another day of training camp practice, this time with no fans and also much better weather. I have to have a jacket on today, which is quite the contrast from the past couple of weeks where the heat has been completely on. The Ravens are now transitioning into the point of training camp where they are focusing on preparing for their regular season games, but also they have one last preseason game left against the Commanders this weekend, and then roster cuts. So there's still guys who are fighting for a spot at this point. Additionally, the Ravens, they got Kyle Hamilton back. He was out for a few weeks. And then also running back Keaton Mitchell, who's been out since that first preseason game. He also returned to practice. However, there were some guys missing, and Coach Harbaugh gave us an injury update on Jair Alexander, who we haven't seen in a week or so. He said that he's still dealing with some lingering knee issues. Here's a few more of those injury updates.
Yeah, the DB room right now is dealing with like nothing serious in terms of season issues or even for the opener. But he had something, just to kind of take care of that knee. You do some things to kind of help it from a health standpoint. It's something he's been dealing with for a few years now, so it's not anything we didn't expect probably. That might have been something to help, but you got to take a couple of days after you do that before you can practice. And same thing with D-Hop. He's an older guy working on his knee a little bit, so things like that.
Now let's get into some additional practice notes. I thought the offense looked fairly efficient today. I was pleased. Lamar Jackson, he had good passes to Tylan Wallace, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, and then of course Mark Andrews. It took him a little while to heat up when it came to his connection with Rashad Bateman, but they were able to get a nice completion towards the end of practice. And I will say that even though there were a few mistakes, Lamar never gave up, and eventually he did hit bait, like I said, for a really good completion. Some of the guys who had good preseason games against Dallas continue to have strong practice. Rasheen Ali, who will more than likely make the 53-man roster, with Coach Harbaugh confirming that he'll have 4 running backs this season. Additionally, Keith Kirkwood, to me, he had a great practice. He caught passes from Cooper Rush and Lamar Jackson. And then LaJohntay Wester, who struggled a little bit as a wide receiver against Dallas. He didn't get a lot of separation, but he also had a good practice today, catching passes from Lamar and Cooper Rush as well. Speaking of Cooper Rush, I did feel like he also had an efficient practice. There were no turnovers, so that was good to see. So he looks like he is starting to get comfortable, and my guess is we'll see him again in the last preseason game against the Commanders, but you never know. They may give Devin Leary more time. Defensively, I want to point out that Trenton Simpson, he ripped the ball out of Charlie Kolar's hand. Kolar, it was a completion, but Trenton Simpson was aggressive and got the ball away from Kolar. And so that was a really good play by Trenton, who, is continuing to try to show what he's able to do. Tavius Robinson, he batted down a Lamar Jackson pass. And then Marquise Robinson, a guy that we don't hear of much, one of the DBs, he had 2 really great pass breakups, and he is a name that I've written down throughout training camp. So we'll see how everything pans out for him as the roster cuts come about, as well as they make decisions on the practice squad. After practice, we had an opportunity to not only talk to Coach Harbaugh, but special teams coach Randy Brown. Coach Harbaugh did confirm that Tyler Luke will be the kicker going into this season. And Brown talked to us about the moment that he knew Tyler was the one that he wanted to pursue as a kicker for the Ravens.
And so I knew we were kind of there. So we kind of moved a couple tables away, and we were in this restaurant in Tucson. And I said, all right, show me. And he does his whole steps back, over, and on, shows me, okay, this is how I would hit the ball here. This is my lean on my ball. And I texted John afterwards. I said, I think we have our guy.
This is Carita Parks. That has been your Ravens Rundown. Please be sure to follow Bowie TV Sports for all your Ravens content at Bowie TV Sports.